Should I take off my clothes?
No, you don't have to. I just I've been doing this
Okay.
thing where I like record conversations with friends,
Okay.
just like hold on to it and see what we
To like blackmail them when they run for political office.
yeah.
Let's talk politics,
Let's
and
talk
then just
politics.
record.
Yeah.
He wasn't in support of that thing,
I
Yeah,
have it
it's a
on
good.
record saying he did inhale.
Oh, I inhaled. Dude. Anyway, dude, yeah. So how's life going with you?
Oh, it's great. I just moved into my new place.
Oh,
Last
nice.
last
Is this
week.
in Toronto or
No, this is in Kelowna.
Kelowna? Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
so
Is that like a city or I don't know
yeah,
anything about Canada, dude.
yeah. So it's like 3.5 hours. So it's
Oh,
actually
okay.
like directly north. It's like north of like Idaho.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's
Kind of.
still pretty close to the coast then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's like 6 hours from Seattle. But, so
Oh, nice.
I'm starting my master's and PhD program here.
Dude, that's crazy. Medical physics, man.
So yeah.
What a field. Have you started any classes yet, or is that like in
No,
a
I
couple weeks
yeah a couple. I start on the 5th.
of September? That's weird. They started on Tuesday, I guess, because of the long weekend. I guess isn't that an
Yeah.
American holiday though?
Well, we have Labor Day. I don't know what yours is called.
Oh, okay. I guess yeah.
So
Anyway, yeah, dude. So, so I guess I should tell you, dude. It's crazy. So I mean, I guess I haven't. This all kind of happened super quick, so I didn't really have a
yeah,
chance to tell a lot of people.
Lumbercats. You quit
No,
your job,
so
right?
yeah, so it was like I'm so basically Heather like a month ago, Heather got a really great offer from a hospital in Glendale, California, right, which is right north of LA. It's about 10 minutes north of downtown Los Angeles.
So is that near
Um,
where is that where the Taylors
no, no, they kind of live like an hour west of Los Angeles in like
live?
Millbrae Park. So
Okay.
yeah, so this is like 10 minutes north of downtown. So it's in the greater Los Angeles area. So she got a really great offer from a hospital there to do their marketing and public relations, or not their whole public, but she's part of the team. They have like a 5-person team, so they wanted to add another person. So offered her really good offer. So we were like talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, like there's nothing in Wall Wall for me, so I think I'm gonna take it." So I was like, "Yeah, take it." So she took it, and then right after that, pretty much, I was like, "Well, I can stay in Walla Walla, or I can do something else," Like, so I decided to start looking for jobs, and basically, I found actually a job down in Los Angeles. So I accepted the job, but I pushed the start date back a month and like about 5 weeks, so that I could then tour with the Lumbercats. So yeah, so it worked out pretty perfectly. Yeah.
So what's your tour route looking like for the
So it starts here in their hometown of Quincy, California, and they're just gonna go up through Bend, and then up into up along the coast, go up like Ashford and Medford over on the coast, and go up to Portland, and up to Olympia, Seattle, up to Bellingham, then back down all the way to Walla Walla, and then like Ellensburg, Seattle, Olympia, and then Bend, and that's it. So it's 13 shows in 2 weeks. So.
So where are you going to be on the weekend of like September 3?
Oh, unfortunately, I'm actually well, not unfortunately, but I guess unfortunately for you, it's like a positive thing for me. I'm actually going to be going to Cluze and Charlotte's wedding,
Oh,
which is over in Kentucky. So I'm actually flying out. I'm actually
oh,
going to miss one of the shows here with them because I'm going to go to their wedding. But yeah,
bummer.
so I'm leaving.
Because if you were going to be in Bellingham, then I'd be like, yo, I'll just come down. I'm going to be in
Uh,
Abbotsford, which is like 20
well,
minutes from
dude,
Bellingham.
let me check what the Bellingham date is because honestly, we'll be in Bellingham not on that weekend, but a couple days before that. I think like on the 30th or 29th of August. I'll get you the
You
date
are,
anyway. Well, I'll look for it
oh,
later.
yeah, dude, that's awesome. So that's a super sick transition. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty. It was crazy, dude. It's like Heather got the job. I gave my 2 weeks, found a
Yeah.
new job in those 2 weeks, and then toured with the Lumbercats. Yeah, dude.
So what's your new job? Is it
So
industry?
I'm working. I'm going to be doing design engineering for a manufacturing or an ambulance manufacturer down in Los Angeles.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Apparently, it's crazy, man. They gave me a tour and everything, and it was yeah, it worked out perfectly because I applied. Then like the next week I interviewed, and then the next week after that I got hired. So it's pretty sweet. They gave me more money than I asked for, or than I was going to ask for, and I mean they gave me full benefits. They flew me down there to interview. I mean, it's a pretty good company. So they're pretty big. They're like they're the main supplier for ambulances for Northern California and Oregon, but they're based out of Los Angeles. So
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. They buy like these Mercedes vans and then they redo them. They like pretty much tear out the back and then make them into ambulances because apparently, yeah, that's how they do it. No car manufacturer actually builds ambulances.
No, yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah, I
how
mean,
all those specialty vehicles are done. It's crazy.
yeah, so it's pretty sweet. I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm starting on my favorite day of the year, September 11th, and
Oh, great day.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so glad I'm recording this right
I told them I was like, they're like, so when are you gonna start? I was like, September. I think I even said 9/11. I mean, September 11th. It was just, and she was like, that's a great day to start. And then it was like an awkward moment of silence, and then we just were
Great day to
like,
start, or maybe not.
all right. Then we just kind of moved past it. But yeah, so so I'm pretty excited about it, dude. It looks like it's a good company. So it's cool because it's like a smaller branch of a large company. So they have plants in Wisconsin, they have one in Texas, they have two in Florida, and then like one in North Carolina. But LA is the smallest one, so there's only like 5 engineers down there. I'd be the sixth engineer down there. So it's cool because I get all the benefits, of it being a small company, as in like, I got a lot of responsibility and stuff like that. But it also has security of like being a major company. So I mean, I'm pretty excited
Pretty
about
awesome.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Nice. And you're making good money. Awesome.
yeah. A
You
lot
guys
better.
found a
Like,
good place down there?
what's up?
You guys found a place to live down
Yeah, yeah. So Heather has been talking to. So the hospital she moved in, or she started working at, she didn't move into it. They are super. They're just super nice people. So they literally found her a place to live and stuff. She's explained that she's moving, and they're like, we can't cover moving costs, but what we can do is help you. So they literally looked around, showed her videos and photos of places, and like helped her pick one before she got down here, and pretty much talked to the landlord about reserving it. So even though she hasn't signed the lease yet, the landlord has agreed to not rent it out to anyone until she gets down there. So it's pretty sweet. The hospital's got a lot of connections, and they've been really good. So it's all working out pretty well.
there? Awesome. And you're going to be close to John now.
Yeah,
Taylor.
dude. Taylor, although Taylor, I don't know if you heard, he's moving to Las Vegas
Oh, I didn't hear that. Crazy.
in a couple months. He just wants to do. I think he wants to start a business, so he's going to go to Vegas, where it's cheap to live, apparently.
Yeah. I remember he was telling me he's working on some business.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
crazy. I'm getting another phone call. Also on Google Drive. Never, never happened.
Dang,
It's like in my ears, so I can't hear it.
that's crazy, dude. Dude, check this picture out. Let me just show you this real quick. You gotta see this picture, dude. Check this one out, dude. Boom.
Whoa! That's so good.
It's amazing, dude. So many treasures in this house, dude.
Dude, did he ever figure out that we found his YouTube channel? That was his YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah, he
Yeah, with all
did.
the
I, t-
music
I told
performances
him.
and stuff.
It was actually a couple of days ago. I put it on. I was like, guys, I found this sweet video, and I put on the video of him playing soccer.
He had the one
They were,
like talent show audition or whatever.
yeah, dude. I didn't put on
So
that one
awesome.
because I didn't want to. I didn't want him to be embarrassed about
Yeah.
the high school shenanigans.
He commented on his videos too.
Yeah, he actually logged on and said, "Who's this person commenting on all the photos?" Yes, it's pretty good.
That's awesome. You get to tour with them. They're such a rad group of guys.
Yeah, no, they're
That
all super, super cool guys, all of them.
that whole weekend was a blast
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, well, I had a good time, man. That was a fun week. Yeah, dude. But if you're ever in Southern California, I don't know why you would be, but if you ever
down there.
are, dude.
Yeah. Well, I've been talking about doing a trip down there around Christmas time with John because I'll have like 3 weeks off, and I don't want to spend just 3 weeks at home.
Yeah,
For all of
that
it
makes
when I can
sense.
travel a little bit. So yeah, maybe I'll come down and surf and hang out and do the California.
Well, dude, hello.
Hey,
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. For some reason, right there, you're your volume just started going lower and lower and lower, and then I just didn't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about doing a trip down there around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, so I think we should, because I've been talking to John about this, dude. You ought to fly into San Diego. We ought to do a Mexico trip, dude.
yeah,
Drive down to Mexico, dude.
as long as I'm with you guys, go back to the old neighborhoods, great.
Yeah, but me and John are fake Hispanics, dude. We don't speak Spanish, so we're like practically useless.
Yeah, well, but you still have the mannerisms.
That's true.
The physical language.
Yeah, it's just once they interact with us, they're gonna know we're not, we're not from this country.
Yeah. Well, 90% is pretending you belong.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We could just pretend we're mute. We could just write in Spanish on a little board like we're mute.
I am mute. Mexican mute. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the word for mute is though, so I guess I have to look it up.
Google that. Yeah. Ask for real Mexican.
So anyway, dude, so you said you want to talk about politics?
Well, yeah, or just yeah. So I was interested in what you saw with respect to Charlottesville. That was just holy shit! What a crazy! Oh my god, Nazis and fucking alt-right, whatever they want to call themselves. The kid in charge or the challenger.
Oh. And then the whole Donald Trump saying him not helping it at all, dude. Classic Donald not helping the situation at all.
Yeah, because he had two statements, right? He said the first one he said it was both sides, right? There's violence on both sides, and then he wouldn't condemn the Nazis or something like that.
Yeah, it's not that he wouldn't. It took him like 20 minutes to say that it was a bad thing. I'm trying to find better wireless internet connection, although this is probably as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's because you keep your photo, your video keeps cutting out, but that's not your fault.
No,
that's just Northern California, dude. Anyway, yeah. So I was practicing with these guys. We were practicing like 7 to 8 hours a day for this tour. So I didn't get a ton of time to read up on it. I mean, I did follow the major stories, that came out about like the guy with the car running over a bunch of people, and then, or not a bunch, but he drove through the crowd. And then I did see the whole taking down of the statue, multiple statues.
Now they're talking about taking down all the statues.
Yeah.
And like even like Jefferson memorials and all these guys. It's like, whoa.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, I'll just go to Thomas Jefferson's Wikipedia and read about him to just see if I really want a statue to come down. And I went onto his death page, like the death tab, and it was just like, he died happily in his plantation with it still running at full capacity. And I was like, okay, maybe they have a little point.
And then who's the guy who Lincoln freed the slaves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they want to take down Lincoln too, which is like, whoa.
I don't get that one.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't understand that one. Well, who's safe for this? We might as well take down the Martin Luther King Jr. statue too. I mean,
right. Well, like any social figure has any sins, we should just take them down.
Yeah, well,
someone's liable to be offended by those sins.
Martin Luther King Jr. was constantly cheating on his wife. It's actually very well noted by the FBI, who was trying to blackmail him with it. I mean, it's like everyone has their problems.
Yeah. Now that said, like Robert E. Lee, like I definitely understand the argument for why a black person wouldn't want to be living in a town with a Robert E. Lee school or a Robert E. Lee statue. Just like put it in a museum. People can go.
Yeah.
They can learn about the history. But he's not like a forefather. He's not like
exactly. He's not even a founding father. He literally came along like 100 years after it was made, and then it was racist. Like, I don't understand how that's.
Or at least he's a symbol of racism, even if he wasn't a racist himself. Right? There's a matter.
Yeah.
But, like, who cares? Like, he still was the leader of the Confederate Army.
I know. I just don't get why he gets a dude. Actually, so the other day, I actually was very on the fence about this whole issue with just the Confederate flag and Confederate symbols like Robert E. Lee, and like why are those like I was always on the fence as to the whole. Well, there's always the argument of like the Civil War was not only about slavery but about states' rights and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I actually the other day I was on Reddit and I was looking at a discussion about this, and somebody said before you make any statements about the Civil War, you should read the secession documents, like the documents that they submitted to Congress for secession. And I read the ones for Georgia and South Carolina, and both of them, the main reason was that literally, dude, they say the main reason is that the North is not sending back our slaves, and that they're literally stealing our property. That's literally what they said, and I was like,
so
okay.
It's like,
yeah, it was about slavery. Like they literally said they will not give us. Like they said that. They said, "Would you steal from another person?" Like that's what they said. I was just like, these dudes. They just literally were upset that the North weren't giving back their slaves.
They were wrong.
Yeah, it's not like even an argument. They even said it. They weren't ashamed of the fact that they believed in slavery. Like I don't know where we got this idea that it was about like states' rights. I mean, I guess technically, yes, it was the states' rights to have slaves.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not a good reason,
No,
Like,
that's a terrible reason. And furthermore, it's a moral obligation to fight to free slaves. If you're a member of the North or any citizen, if you see slaves, it's in my view, it's your moral imperative to go stop those people from being sort of the kids on the playground. Now that's
like
it.
Well, as I say, I wouldn't necessarily call it a moral obligation, but I think if you want to I personally don't want to live in a society where there are slaves. Personally, that's just me, and so I would consider it. You got to build the society you want to live in, And so, if I was in the North, I wouldn't want to. I would 100% not send slaves back. If I was harboring a slave in my house, 100% keep them there and not send them back. Like I just,
Now, of course, when you speak about the Confederate flag and stuff like that, obviously we're talking about federal funding.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not talking about freedom to like of course certain super far right people should be able to have the right to believe in Nazism, believe in the Confederate, whatever the Confederate flag stands for.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be able to fly their flag, from their own home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Whatever they want, but we're not going to give federal funding towards murderous movements.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, dude. Like,
white supremacy.
Yeah, if it's a public building or public land or a public statue, I just don't see the reason why it has to be. Don't get me wrong. Like, of course, we should have a museum about Confederate stuff. We should have the statues, the memorials, there should be books. Yeah, there should be. We shouldn't. I am not of the idea that we need to burn that information. We need to destroy the statues. Dude, that's my whole thing. That was where I drew a line. I don't think the statues should be destroyed. I think they're important pieces of American history. People need to know that these people were idolized. Like, people need to understand that if you go down a certain path, you can idolize people who shouldn't be idolized. Like, that's important to understand that people really like these figures. Like, and so you shouldn't just burn all the records. And so I don't think you should destroy the statues. Like, the statues that got pulled down, the statues are ruined, and now they're going to have to pay somebody to fix them, which is just waste of our tax dollars. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And there are nuances to it too. Like if you were in if there was some kind of military museum or something like that where they were wanting to show off American military excellence, Robert E. Lee would be at the top of my list.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You'd want to show off. He essentially almost won the war with like a third of the resources that the North. Mm-hmm. Right? So from a military perspective, he's like genius general, right? Mm-hmm. Still lost and still fought for the side of the people.
Yeah.
Literally put other human beings in shackles and make them do work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, if it's gonna cause people depression or people feeling shame or something, you don't need to put public dollars into it. Just put it into a museum there. You don't need to name a school after that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a black student and I'm going to the Robert E. Lee, school for higher learning.
It's always in the like schools. It's always in the South where most of the black people in the U.S. live. It's like,
yeah,
it's like of course they're gonna run into it. That's where most of them live. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I definitely I agree that it should not be. I do think we should put some public dollars into it because I do think the museum should be public, obviously. Should be or government or at least Smithsonian. I think a Smithsonian Museum of Confederate History that could be something that'd be cool, or just Civil War history in general. So it can all so people actually show up to the museum.
It's one of like the top 10 founding moments in American history.
Yeah, it's a super important. It's the only war that was fought on America's soil, like by Americans. It's an extremely important historical date or historical time, and you need to know about it. And yeah, I think a Civil War museum or something like that, like a big one with all the statues and all this, that'd be pretty cool. I think that I was something I would go to. I mean,
or even of course a slavery.
Yeah,
right? We have lots of Nazi
mm-hmm.
Slavery. Better. You don't educate people about the morality and history of slavery by not talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You educate people by talking about it.
Yeah.
Showing the actual truth of what happened, what people actually said.
Mm-hmm.
Leave no stone unturned.
They actually did. I'm pretty excited. They actually 2 years ago, I think 2015 or 16, one of those two, they did actually open a museum, the Smithsonian Museum of African American History. So they have the African history, but the African American history, it's kind of like a continuation. So it's kind of basically, the first part it shows the boats they were brought over in it shows the slavery, but it's pretty cool. I would really like to go to because it just shows their whole development from coming over as slaves to then living in the Jim Crow laws and stuff, and then it also shows the culture that they made and their own unique culture. Because when you talk to people from Africa, you realize that African American culture is completely different from African culture. It's completely different, and so it is a museum to their culture and to their achievements. And so I definitely think it was definitely needed, and I'm glad they put it in. Next time I go to DC, which I don't know whenever that'll be, I'm definitely excited to go to it. Because I heard they have a whole just jazz room where they just have a bunch of different jazz musicians and their music, and you can read the lyrics and hear the music with a bunch of different CDs and headphones. You kind of just could spend hours in there just listening to different music from different eras. But yeah, so I definitely believe, there should be I think there should be some big Civil War museum. We put all that stuff in there, and not forget about it, but at the same time, just because like you said, the only way to move past things is to address them, to talk about them.
Yep. Do you think there is, just to play the devil's advocate, I guess, in this whole debate, is there is there any merit to the argument that maybe we shouldn't have statues at all? Everybody has some kind of sin or something. So if we're gonna find fault with with Robert E. Lee, which is easy to do and it's kind of full frontal, someone like say Martin Luther King, he's cheating on his wife. Well, then are all the wives who've been cheated on going to be upset about the Martin Luther King statue?
Yeah.
So even though he did so much good, or the good that he did, should we not have statues because of potential offense to those people? That's an argument that's obviously going to be right. Is there any merit to that? Just tell people suck it up when you're seeing something you don't like.
I think there is. I think so. I think that there. So to me, it's this. To me, it is that. For me, it's the basis of America, right? The basis of America is majority rule with minority rights. So it's kind of like just technically we own as a people, we own all these statues and everything.
Yeah.
So I really think it's a decision for the people. Like I understand why they gave Jefferson a monument, why they gave Washington a monument, Abraham Lincoln, because these men did significant things in American history. Um, Now I just think it's really up to the American people. If the American people really don't want Thomas Jefferson's statue up, I think Thomas Jefferson would be the first to tell you that it needs to go down. Honestly, that's what I believe.
Yeah.
I think that
Fair
was
enough.
the whole world he was trying to build, a world where the people get to pick what is like the idea that we need to keep his statue up because he's a founding father is the idea he was fighting against. I mean, that's the idea that he did not. So it's kind of like a catch-22 because all of a sudden it's like, oh, if you take it down, that would mean he would be happy that he took it down, but then that means like I guess that means he's a pretty awesome dude. So maybe we should put it back up. I don't know. Kind of like
Well, I think that's that actually points to something that, in my view, is lost in a lot of politics these days, which is an act of humility. Try to find a political representative who's exceedingly humble rather than exceedingly
mm-hmm.
cocky
Yeah.
or careerist or something. The approval ratings of all politicians are so low.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Not to mention, the news sources and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a general lack of genuineness. People are just politicians just seemingly are not interested in actually serving the people as the people express their wishes. There's no openness. You're talking about Hillary Clinton deleting emails,
Yeah.
shady things. Literally, the person that half the country, more than half the country, rallied around
Mm-hmm.
is someone who is still has a proven track record of lying, shady deals, all the sketchy things in the Middle East about it. The best person we could come up with was still an awful option.
Yeah.
And no humility. Never do they. It's always pointing the blame at somebody else. There's no, okay, yeah, I did these things wrong. I'm going to come clean. Maybe somebody else is better for the job. Like that's what Jesus as a politician would do. That's what Thomas Jefferson as a politician would do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Defend himself when he thinks he's right. Admit he's wrong. And there's no admitting wrong. Yeah, so just like the lack of honesty comes from it's just like dumbfounding to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'd say is I think honestly, the older I get, I think we as a nation were just not smart enough to realize politicians have always been lying to us, dude. Honestly, that's what I think. I think it wasn't until before Richard Nixon, people just thought that politicians had their best interests in mind, at least in America. I think in other countries where this whole political thing had been going longer, like in Europe, how they had been going they had their governments for thousands, or I guess 1,000 years before America did. They already used to this whole politicians have been lying thing. But America, we had this idea that it's good, and I'm sure maybe at the beginning, George Washington, I think, was actually a decent politician. I mean, they wanted to elect him for like a third term, and he was like, no, like we're not. In fact, they wanted to make him the king. From what I was reading, is they were like, let's just make him president until he dies, and he was like, this is literally what we've tried to stop. So I feel like there might have been a couple decent guys at the beginning, but I just think politics as a system, it I don't want to say it is designed to make the snakes win, but I feel like it only works if everyone's genuine. And the minute there's one disingenuous person, all of a sudden the system doesn't work. Because I feel like the system relies on people being honest and open and stating their intentions to a group of people. And I think once somebody stops doing that honestly and starts lying, then, well, they can say whatever they want and they can say whatever they need to say to get elected. And I think that happens. And I think people thought, I don't know, some people feel like, I don't know why they think that Donald Trump is the first person to do this, to say what he needs to say to get elected. I feel like, I mean, obviously, I think he's doing it the most blatantly out of any politician we've ever seen. But as far as, I think it started a long time ago. And like, so I talked to my dad about this recently, about the whole thing with Richard Nixon and when he was caught lying, and just how people just were shocked. Like, there were people who just literally flat out, they heard that he was lying and they just flat out wouldn't believe it simply because he was the president. And they were just like, well, the president wouldn't lie. That's just something the president would not do. And just like the amount of respect that the president's office used to carry was immense. And now, I don't know, I just think the more we've grown as a nation and the more we've really seen that this political system, and I shouldn't say this political system, I think every political system, is ruined by people who lie. And so once one person starts lying, the only way to keep up with everyone else is to start lying. I mean, I'm sure there are politicians who genuinely want to do good, but have to lie to get any position to do good, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and
well,
then you just, go ahead.
I think politics of popularity and the politics of politics in general, it definitely incentivizes populist movements, incentivizes use of slang terminology and popular terminology to sway a crowd. Most voters are swayed by single issue positions and what they view the most important issue in a single election campaign. So you can hold the clearest view, or at least make it seem like you're holding the clearest view on that issue, you can gain that vote. So we incentivize by our lack of truth seeking as voters, by our lack of proof of genuity and honesty. We're more interested, I think, in security and feeling like we're part of a group, or feeling like we're on the side. So I think as voters, we incentivize it too. But yeah, I mean, definitely as part of politics, it's just kind of inherent because of our frailty as voters. But that brings me to like another issue I want to talk to you about, which is Sam Harris interviewed Douglas Murray this past week. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it yet.
I'm super backed up on my podcast. I've got like 3 of his I need to listen to, but I'll get to them. Like, there's gonna be a lot of time on this tour of just us just bussing, so I'll have time to listen to it. But yeah, I'm backed up on his stuff.
So Douglas Murray, he's this he's on Sam's podcast from time to time.
Yeah, I think I recognize the name.
Yeah, he's a British author and a political commentator. He has this book called something about the morality of the left, sorry, not the left, the morality of the strange death of Europe, immigration, identity.
Oh yes, I did hear this podcast. Yep, I heard this one though. I think this is the last one I heard.
Yeah. So, so the whole idea is that Brits, in his opinion, are losing their identity in terms of moral fiber and where they base their morality from. And I was speaking to John about this a little bit last week because I was reading some Dostoevsky. He's a Russian. And he finishes off one of his books. The book is called Crime and Punishment. It's a classic. And he finishes it off by talking about this sort of like the idea of a meme in like the Richard Dawkins sense, and how secularism, discard of Christianity, with the merits it's brought us, from freedom of certain ideology, that what is left vacant is a sense of morality. So the rise of nihilism that Dostoevsky talks about, Nietzsche talks about, leaves this huge vacancy in the culture, where our moral footing needs to be. So we essentially don't have those Christian moral values anymore, or we're reevaluating them. We just don't understand where our morality. I'll let you. We don't understand where our morality should be based for as a culture. We can't agree on a lot of these issues. A lot of people are taking humanist views or Christian views or other senses of morality, and so there's no consensus basis on what actually is moral. We founded these countries, however many odd years ago, on these values, and now those values are not relevant to us. So that's his explanation as to why people are wanting to destroy these statues, and also why there's this huge debate among multiculturalism. Battle's almost largely won in a sense, by the right. So I wonder what your thoughts are on that. Where do you see, or how do you think about morality in a secular context? Maybe how do you think the culture sees it now that really we're moving away from Christianity? Stats, it's just dropping and dropping. It's not that we don't have roots in Christianity and we shouldn't nod to those roots, but I think there's an acceptance that those morals are morals we accept it because they're true, not because necessarily they're Christian. How do we go about re-evaluating our morality?
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so this is the podcast with the conservative British guy who was Christian. Yeah, I remember this podcast. I found it one of the.
He's not a Christian, I don't think.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, this podcast is like only a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like there's another one with a similar topic.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think Sam brought up this guy's.
Yeah, I think he might have. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna jump onto his. Just gonna jump onto his podcast page real quick. Yeah, I just want to see because I remember. So this one you're talking about is so
the one I'm talking about is Identity and Terror. August 23rd.
Yeah, that one just came. Okay, with Douglas Murray. Okay, yeah. Okay.
The one you're talking
literally is the End of Europe. Yo, that one also is Douglas Murray.
Oh, is it the End of Europe? Oh, well, fair enough. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
see, this is why. Yeah. So that's okay. Yes. So all right. I can say I remember why I remember this because he kept referencing the book you just talked about on the podcast, and the whole thing was he wanted, or Sam kept referencing it, but kept trying to pull away from it because he wanted people to buy the book and read the book. But yeah, I definitely 100% agree with his initial argument. The whole idea that this nation was founded on certain values, specifically Christian, Judeo-Christian values, and that now, I won't say that now most people, I will say now most young people are moving into a secular humanist mindset. I feel like there's still a whole generation like our parents Christian and still hold on to those values and those morals, but most people I know our age are not. And from what I've read on stats on Christianity, it's really declining. And so, or I should say, there's a lot of people who still follow Christian values, but wouldn't necessarily call themselves a Christian, even. And
they're not really biblical values, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're they're not necessarily, yeah, exactly. And that's a good distinction, is that there are values that are biblical and there are values that are traditionally Christian, which aren't necessarily overlapping.
And then there's really contemporary Christian values, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about birth control, change in the church's view of birth control.
Yeah.
Gay perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't necessarily know what his sentiment in the book is because I have yet to read it. It's on my Amazon book list that on tour. I didn't, so I just didn't want to acquire more stuff in the move was the idea. But anyway, so so my whole thing is, my whole thing is I definitely agree with him in that people are looking, especially our generation, the more secular humanist generation, are looking for values. I mean, dude, since my fiance is feminist, I have met a lot of feminist people, and I'm telling you, they treat feminism like my parents treat religion. Like, it's definitely, people are looking for values to hold on to, and they're looking for absolute definitive values. And I'm not going to say that the values of feminism are any better or worse than the values that are laid out in the Bible or in modern Christian tradition. But I do definitely agree that people are looking for values, and they're looking to fill the place of religion. And honestly, I have not seen that be a positive thing. I think that is exactly what's leading to people tearing down these statues and stuff. Because, okay, look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm in a house that's Christian, so I don't want to say anything too offensive or anything. But I have my problems with using a book that was written 2,000 years ago as a roadmap for your life. I have my problems with that. I'll say it in this analogy. It's, imagine if what car do you have?
Saturn Vue.
Yeah. See, imagine if you're using a Ford Model T manual to do all the maintenance on your car. I think, sure, there are some things that line up that make sense. Like the Model T manual is probably going to say change the oil. It's probably going to say put gas in it. But there are also things that don't make any sense. I mean, of course, we take that analogy further. Say you are unsure that Henry Ford actually wrote this Model T manual and you found it in a cave in Egypt. But yeah, anyway, there's other things. Anyway,
yeah. Well, some people, Richard Dawkins, I was listening to something he said the other day. He put it well. He said, "Why would you use the Sheep Herder's Guide to the Galaxy?"
Yeah, that sums it up. But you see, I actually have a bigger problem personally. Just so it's one thing, like I said, it's one thing to define your values by a book written 2,000 years ago. Okay, don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily think that's the best way to live, but that's one thing. I think it's a lot worse to define your values by a group that's by a political group. Do you see what I'm saying? I just think political groups have only one thing on their mind, is keeping their power. That's just my opinion. And so when you follow a book, or not a book, when you follow a ideology that's politically driven, I just don't see how that's gonna. All I see is a bunch of people manipulating other people to keep themselves in power, and I think that's exactly what the left is doing currently. Is they're just trying to outrage their own party until it's like, like they're just showing the more and more ridiculous things just to keep outraging their own constituents to keep in power. It's just kind of how I see it, and I just don't think that. And I think a lot of people are jumping on this bandwagon because they want to have some sort of moral. Because in my opinion, it's just easier, dude. It's just easier to see the world in this is the absolute right, this is the absolute wrong. That's easier. It's easier to process. It makes your life more convenient because you can just say, yes, that's wrong, that's right, that's wrong, that's right. But in my mind,
it's a super easy metric.
And so why wouldn't your brain wants to work the easiest possible method. I've never seen a brain that's like, I'm going to make this as complicated as possible. Your brain wants to make it in the most simple method for you to process the world. And that's the most simple method. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. It's just that's what it is. It's the easiest way to process the world. And so I understand why people are drawn to it. And I do think that exactly I think what he's saying is true. Or I think most of what he's saying is true. It's that that people are gravitating towards just these political parties just because they want some moral compass because because it makes life easier. Whether or not I just don't know. And the other thing that I don't know is I don't know if everyone sees, because the way I view it is I don't like to view things in terms of absolutes, and I don't like to view things in absolutely evil and absolutely good. And I think that's a very complicated way to look at the world, and I think it makes it hard, and you have to think a lot, and you feel a lot of distress and a lot of confusion because you have to think through things. It's just, I don't know if everyone wants or if everyone even can live that way. Everyone can do that. And so it just comes to the point of, I don't know if going back to the morals and the values of Christianity, it's going to make society better or worse, or I don't know, dude. Honestly, that's just my perspective. I understand what he's saying, and I agree with a lot of it. But I don't know if his solution to going back, was that his solution, is to go back to the morals of Christianity?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. He's just pointing out that
Okay.
it's a huge problem we have to grapple with. He's making the argument of status. He's making the argument that this is the state that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's up to everybody to find a solution. He's not saying where that solution.
I 100% agree with him then in everything he said. Because I remember listening to the podcast and thinking, this guy, honestly, I feel like this feeling I just expressed to you, or this thought, is literally 100% based on what he said. Because once he said it, I had seen it, but I hadn't put it all together like that until I heard him say it.
Exactly.
And then I was like, that I have all the evidence for that. I was like probably a couple months away in my own thinking to get to that point, to that realization, and he just kind of sped it along for me. So yeah, I definitely agree with him.
So
what about you? How do you feel about all that? Are you in agreement? Or?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. In fact, I just wanted to really add to it. There's a couple things that came into my mind as you were talking, and I totally agree with everything you said. One of the things you said was that certain groups here they want to stay in power. They want their voice to be more heard over time rather than less heard, seemingly independent of whether or not they've actually made progress. Right? Like you would think that, for example, Antifa, if there were actually no fascists in America, Antifa wouldn't exist, right? But even though there really aren't there's no open fascism. Nobody actually promulgating true fascist ideology. Yet, so what Antifa does is they just anything they disagree with, they call fascist. And so now they have something to rally behind, and so now they start these rallies. They get the news conferences, they get the coverage, and because Antifa is based on their particular idea is that since fascists want to take over completely, then we are obligated to use violence to fight that. So now they can just call somebody fascist, and they'll always be known as anti-fascist. So their name gives them this sort of moral high ground from which to operate from. And so they can just call anybody a fascist and fight them, and they think that those guys are always going to look as the bad guys because how can Antifa? They're anti-fascist. They be doing anything wrong. Right? It's kind of similar to how Black Lives Matter has treated a lot of the issues. Not that there aren't supporters of Black Lives Matter that I support, but the movement collectively, as it's been seen, I don't. But, I just think now the other one you're talking about is ideology.
Oh wait, before we move on, do you mind if I make a comment really quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I 100% agree with you on this whole idea that there are certain things that are pushed by certain political parties to keep their voices heard, like fascism is a great one. And this is going to be a little controversial. And don't get me wrong, I do believe we live in a world that is still rampant with sexism and racism. But I think both of those ideas are pushed heavily by the left to keep in power. And again, I want to say, I don't think that we are in a world free of racism. I think we're in a world still rampant with racism. I think racism and sexism have both just become more covert. They haven't disappeared. I think there are literally people are just as racist and just as sexist as they used to be. It's just people are better at hiding it nowadays. And so I think that, although I do think that the left uses these ideas to push a political agenda as opposed to actually solve anything. That's honestly, I think the right does it obviously with guns, with other things. I mean, the right has its, but I listen to more podcasts by people on the left, and so I recognize the ones on the left more just because I'm not as in tune with the right. But I'm guaranteed the right has their versions of their pushing.
It's a tool of political populism.
Mm-hmm. Immigration.
I was actually gonna bring that up. It ties in well to what I was going to say next too. Is CNN is a really good example in how they relate to Trump, and then just the left in general kind of ties in well with this too. So CNN, Trump will say something like, every side is responsible. There was atrocities on both sides, or something like that, right? There's crimes on both sides. Clearly, like a true statement, but still like you're helping the racists by only saying that, right? You needed to say that, and you needed to say that said, we will have no tolerance for Nazis, white supremacists, and the rest of it, and be like, if anything, painfully candid about your denouncement of the Nazis and the white supremacists. No one wants white supremacists. No one wants Nazis in our country, and we don't like you. Like, go away. Right? It was the easiest thing he could have done. Now that said, so he did an imperfect job. That said, it's like America has like a lot of big issues, but like the way a president responds and the nuance doesn't deserve 4 hours of CNN time, right? In comparison to all the other issues, and so like CNN will respond and just be like, boom, like the way he responds is so incompetent, it's so imperfect, and all these things. And while I agree, they're not. I don't think they're. I think that the left agrees with them, and so they're going to get support on the left. But they are also, their response is giving evidence to Trump's thesis that the media is just out to get him, right? But what they should have done is just given a simple, sober response. Be like, yes, there was evidence, there was things on both sides. Yes, there was more on the left, right? And but at the same time, Trump should have just said this too, and then move on. Turn down the emotion to 1, turn up fact checking to 10, which is what Ben Shapiro said on CNN last night to maybe 2 nights ago to Lemon. And it's just like, it was so clear to me, just don't. He wants you to respond, right? It's like so Machiavellian, right? He wants you to respond, and you're buying into his whole thesis, so don't do that. A similar thing happens with the racist debate when they use this term like systemic racism. And like, I don't know if you've watched any of like Ben Shapiro's response to that stuff, and he just hits the nail on the head for me. He's like, I'm against systemic racism. I hate racism. Like, I want all racism to stop in America. But if you want to call something systemic racism, show me the system that's racist, and I'll help you fight it. Don't just call something systemic racism without being able to actually show me where in the system, by the laws or by the whatever, it's actually racist. Don't just look at events and then call it systemic racism, because whether it is or isn't systemic racism, your lack of evidence that you're giving to people just makes you seem like a fool. It makes you seem like you're making stuff up and calling it systemic racism. Like, no one's saying it's not necessarily. necessarily. Just show us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, so there's that side of it, which is kind of what you're talking about, making mountains out of molehills. But there's a second side of this, which is our inability as a people to dissociate our ideas from our character, from our ego, or from our personhood, right?
Yeah, from us. Our
Right,
ideas are us. Yeah.
right. And so it's really obvious in feminists and Christians that if you question the foundations of their belief, they get offended. They don't respond, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it happens with gun owners and stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
and anti-immigration people, and that's how I try to talk in all of these issues.
Yeah.
You have to assume that you're wrong and make your goal just to be less wrong. Right? Assume you're wrong about everything, and you're better off because you can always change your mind. You can always you can still fight for what you believe in until you find out that there's actually some nuance here. Okay, I'm going to narrow my fight, change it slightly, or maybe I was totally wrong. I'll go to the other side. Right? But the openness to change in belief and the openness to questioning is it's totally lacking, and I think that's where the push has to be for me, for my fight. Just trying to get people to say like, hey, here's my view. Right? Here's my view. This is the way I see it. I'm open to seeing it other ways too, and then just trying to convince people to use the scientific method. Like you said, like people just get in these camps, ideologies, and they just get sucked into this vortex. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, and that's exactly how I operate my life. I assume that I don't know everything, and that I'm not going to know everything, and that so my perspective is probably not the best.
Yeah. If you assume you're ignorant, then you're open to new facts.
Yeah, I'm just every day I learn something new, and it changes my worldview. And when I'm presented with facts, sometimes I don't want to change my worldview, but I like to think that at the end of the day I do, simply because I have to. I mean, if I know a fact, I just have to change what I'm thinking. And so I definitely agree with that approach. And I think I just don't know where it occurs, but somewhere in how we raise people, they associate their ideas with their identity. And it's one thing to say that I don't know where it happens, but at some point we think it's so strange. It's like it's okay. So think about it this way: you could say like it's just it's yeah, guns are a great example. It's like gun owners, like the idea that the Second Amendment is like one of the most important amendments in the world is like an identity. And it might have been in marketing or something. I don't know where, but at some stage in human development, we associate. And honestly, now the more I'm thinking about it, it might sound like a marketing ploy because if you identify as something, all of a sudden you're way easier to market to. So I don't know. Maybe it is in marketing, but somewhere in our society we train people to have this idea that their ideas are what make them them. When really your ideas are, how I see it is, it's like your ideas about how the world works are like a roadmap, right? And when you come to a place, when your map said it's going to take you to this city, but you end up in a completely different city, you need to change your map.
Yeah, you need
and that's
scientific
just, yeah. Or if you're going down somewhere and you meet somebody who knows this area, and they say, hey, the path you're going on is not going to lead you to where you're going. You got to change the map. And it's the same thing with my ideas about how I see the world. But yet I think a lot of people use their identities or their ideas of how they see the world as their identity. That might stem partly from religion, partly from marketing. I think it's maybe just a flaw in the human brain. I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, and that's the basis for identity politics. Right? That's why it's so offensive when Black Lives Matter say, "Oh, black people can't be racist," or when gun owners hear something about background checks or something like that. Well, hey, I'm a gun owner. I don't need a background check. I'm not a criminal. Why am I having a background check? Like, if you identify with a group rather than identifying as an individual and just as an individual having views on the issue, you get sucked into these, you get lumped into these group identities, and people judge you for it, and people will accuse you based on that group identity. And you throw out the baby with the bathwater. And yeah, I just think it's so useless to call people or to judge people or to even think about people in terms of their group identity. I don't think about black people as black people. Think them as people. I don't think about you as El Salvadorian Chris Anderson. I think about you as Chris Anderson.
Yeah.
You don't think about me as Canadian Michael Kudla. Just think about Michael Kudla.
Yeah.
Right? So, El Salvadorian American.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are. But,
yeah, so I'm going to play the devil's advocate a little bit here because I do think I have a slightly different perspective on this, and the fact that, so, I mean, I don't want to, again, I hate saying things like this, and I hate grouping people by race. I don't think it's beneficial to anybody.
No.
But it's just, and honestly is a reality of our world, is that I think that people who are in minority groups see the world through the lens of their race a lot more than people who are not in minority groups. Just like perfect example is, so I don't know if I ever told you this, but one time in Florida, me and my brother and a couple of our friends were hanging out, and we got the cops did the whole grab us over, where's the weed, kept us there for like an hour, like with us laying on the ground and the whole thing. And when we got back to my house, because we got back an hour later than we said we were gonna get back, because like my parents were freaking out and they're like, what happened? And so then we told my parents, and then my dad called me and my brother into the living room, and he sat us down and was like, you guys are being an idiot. Like, you guys are Hispanic kids wearing like dark hoodies at night. Like, you can't do that in a primarily white, because we lived in Miami, but we lived in a primarily white neighborhood in Miami. And he said, you just can't run around a suburb as a Hispanic man, as a Hispanic teenager in a hoodie. You can't run around a suburb at night. You just can't do that. And it's those kind of statements that people who are white don't actually get from their parents. And so it kind of puts it into a different perspective. And I mean, personally, just the truth, I've literally always identified as white, which is kind of funny, I think, which is honestly why it didn't even cross my mind as to why wearing a dark hoodie would be a problem.
Could be a problem.
Yeah, I just was like, well, I'm a white guy. My name's Christopher Anderson. Like, come on, like, I'm a white dude. But yeah, so so I do think I don't know if it's the most positive thing. I mean, it's like a balancing act between the reality of life, which is if you are a minority in a hoodie at night, you're probably going to get more attention than a white person. But also playing that up too much puts just this reality, because I've met so many people, so many minorities who their entire world revolves around their race. Everything about every comment they make, everything they talk about has to do with their race. And I feel like it's a balancing act that needs to be, obviously it's the same thing with because there are you can compare this to other issues with, I mean, there are, I'm not thinking of them right now, but I'm sure there's others where it's
economic issues.
Yeah, exactly. There's a balancing act where economic issues. You got to teach your kids to save, but you also have to teach them to enjoy life. And so, or else you get those kids who literally save every penny, or the kids who spend every dollar. And
or people who, poor people who view all of their problems as a result of their economic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
explain it through their identity rather than looking for more objective reasons.
Just like that, who keeps complaining that he won't get a job because he's low class, when the truth is he won't get a job because he's terrible at interviewing and he won't learn. He won't ask anyone for help with an interview. Like, I would have helped him with his interview practice. I know how to interview really well. I would have helped him with it, but no, I even offered a couple times. He never thought that was the problem. I always thought because he's the poor guy. It was his whole thing. And so it's definitely a balance, because like I said, it's definitely reality, and you need to teach your kids that. But at the same time, I feel like some parents get so hung up on it, and that's all they teach their children is that. Because I've met I knew kids who are like black Hispanic kids never once said anything about being Hispanic, never once said anything about their race, acknowledged it even. Like obviously they knew it, but they never. It wasn't even a factor in their lives. Like,
It wasn't
and
how they interpreted it.
yeah, exactly. Like they obviously they appreciated their Hispanic heritage or their black heritage, but it wasn't a center focal point of their life. And I met some kids who that was all they could talk about is how black they were, how Hispanic they were. It's really a balance. And I feel like like we brought it back to like CNN specifically plays on the outrage of a lot of those people. I mean, it's just
It sells news.
yeah, and so for those people, I really don't know how to get them out of identity politics, dude. That's just I don't know because those people, their whole life is identity politics. It's literally their life, and I see it happening with women too. I see it happening where, don't get me wrong, I do think feminism is an important and necessary part of society,
In
and I
2017.
definitely think that that women there is sexism against women and it does need to be addressed. But I think when you frame your context and the fact that every single terrible thing that's ever happened to you in your life is because you're a woman, that really sets you up for, in my opinion, a very negative worldview.
Yeah, well, it sets you up for failure. It's the same thing that happens in black neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when all of their problems in life are explained by their socioeconomic status, you know, the fact that they're black and the fact that they're poor. If you're told from the time you're 5 to you're 15 that all of your problems are because of the fact that you're black and because you're poor, where's the room for you yourself rising above and empowering yourself as an individual to move forward? There isn't any because you think that the world is always out to get you and the world is always going to push you back down. And you see it because you only talk to people who explain the world. So yeah, I'm totally with you there. To your point about I don't know if you were arguing for the need for identity politics or just that identities do play a role in social situations. They definitely do, and that's not what I mean to say when I say identity politics.
Yeah.
Is a negative thing in all circumstances. What I mean to say is that definitely there are what you might call identity biases. And there are conscious biases and there are unconscious biases. Right? So there are actual physical racists, for example, people who literally think Hispanic people or think black people are lesser than them. White nationalists, for example. Then there's unconscious bias, which is the fact that the media has portrayed, or my narrative in general has portrayed, the black man as more dangerous than the white man. Right? So if I run into a black guy in a dark corner, I'm more likely to have a negative response than I would if it was a white guy, right? Or with socioeconomic status is an issue too, right?
Yeah.
If I run into a guy with a suit, I'm way more likely to treat him in a positive manner than I am if I run into a guy in rags.
It's crazy because the biggest robberies in history are all committed by people in suits. I mean, we see that banking every day.
Yeah, and they don't go to prison for it.
No, they don't. In fact, they get bailed out by the government,
and they get bonuses for getting the bailout.
Yeah, it doesn't make.
Yeah, for negotiating the bailout.
Yeah.
It's subtle irony. So, or not so subtle irony. So the point is that there's these conscious things, and then there's these subconscious, lower level things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And other than extreme self-reflection, there's nothing I can do to stop my subconscious bias.
Oh yeah.
Right? There's absolutely nothing I can do. And so, as a Hispanic person, you have to be aware that I have subconscious bias, right? That a police officer, especially if he's white, is likely to have some kind of possible. It's more likely that he's going to have some kind of subconscious bias. Right? So that's like an actual tangible risk to a Hispanic person.
Yeah.
So in that sense, your identity as a Hispanic person, or if you want to call it your identity, or if you just want to call it the personality or the character or the physical trait of your person that you are a Hispanic person is an actual factor in your safety.
Yeah.
Right? That factor. But you also recognize that there's also 50 other factors. The factor that there's the fact that you were Hispanic. There's also the fact that you were just walking around late at night, which is when hoodlums, white, black, or Hispanic, or any other walk around.
Yeah.
And the fact that hoodlums wear hoodies. Right? And the fact that you can go on. Or maybe there was a phone call in the area recently of kids being loud. Right?
Well, I guarantee there was. We were being pretty loud, so I guarantee someone called it in.
Yeah, right. So your dad's explanation of it being Hispanic is it's definitely a factor. But what needed to be said was, okay, there's a certain weight to that factor, and there's a weight to all these other factors. Right? And so like your identity matters, but also all these other identities. And that's all that is programmatic, scientific view on the construction of like one event. Right? So I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that a more sensical approach to?
No, it's total. I totally agree. See, I just kind of simplified. My dad had like a long talk with us. So my dad's whole thing was not just that you're Hispanic. My dad's whole thing is that you're Hispanic on top of what you are doing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the whole like you're at night in a hoodie without your ID because they didn't have my. Because if I would have my driver's license on me, they would have seen I lived 2 blocks away. And it would have been he's just walking home. It's cold. That's why he's wearing a hoodie. It would have been totally explainable. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and it's the fact that it was on top of. So my dad was, basically the talk was that, sure, like, yes, like you definitely, so my dad's talk was as a Hispanic person, there are certain things that you're going to be treated more harshly for. Like, it wasn't that, okay, cool. Sorry, I thought okay, cool. Yeah, so I think my camera turned off. There we go. Okay, yeah, because my phone's about to die. So honestly, dude, this is actually going to have to be the last thing because literally it keeps turning off my camera because my phone's like close to death. But yeah, so it was more of the Hispanic is the icing on the cake type talk. It's like you're walking around at night in a hoodie without your ID. That's bad enough. But throw on the fact that you're Hispanic and you're literally setting yourself up to fail. And so it's been a big thing. And so it's kind of why at my job, I always try to be the nicest dressed. I always try to do this and that because exactly what you said, people have biases against Hispanics, and I can't do anything about a subconscious bias. They can barely do anything about a subconscious bias. Like, we're being honest, I have a subconscious bias against black people, dude. I see a black man taller than me, bigger than me at night. I have to tell myself mentally, it's okay. He's not gonna attack you. Like, I literally have to say
me too. It's animal.
Mind.
It's evolved. Yeah.
It's and so I can't blame people for the subconscious ideas. My whole thing with my dad was saying is that, like, yes, you are Hispanic, so as long as you set yourself up right, it won't be a problem. Do you see what I'm saying? You wear everyone's wearing polos to work. You wear a button up. That way, the bias is canceled out by the fact that you're dressed nicer than everybody and stuff like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
play to the biases.
Yeah, exactly. Play to them. You know you're gonna have this bias, so it's not like you have to do anything super crazy. Like, literally, all it is when I was working at Key, people wore polos and I wore button up. That's literally all I would consider playing against the bias. Is all, just go a little bit above and beyond. And yeah, sure, that might not be fair. But I'm trying to put myself in the best situation to succeed. This isn't more of a make the world better. It wasn't more of a make the world better speech. It was more of a, this is what you're going to have to do because you're always going to have a slight little bias against you. And so it's kind of like, yeah, so like, don't get me wrong. He also emphasized the fact that as a teenage man, you shouldn't be walking around at night in a hoodie. Like, that's bad enough. That's enough to get you stopped. But the reason that they made you guys lay on the ground and everything was because you're Hispanic, was the idea. It was kind of the whole, like, if they stop some white kids, they'll probably push them up against the fence, pat them down, let them go. But so that was the whole idea. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with you in the fact that there are biases, and you can't. It's a subconscious thing, and it's really, I don't even know how you change your subconscious. Honestly, I don't think you can. I mean, you might be able to. I don't know, but it's more of just a. you gotta just work. You just gotta do certain things to make sure you're viewed in a positive light. And I mean, it sounds unfair, I guess, but really, I mean, white people have to do that in certain areas, not necessarily in I guess everyone has to do that. Really, you shouldn't be running around at night in a hoodie. Like that's just kind of, or at least have the hoodie down. You see what I'm saying? I think half the problem is we have the hoodies up over our faces. It looks kind of suspicious, and it's a little different in the winter time. If I was in Washington, it'd be one thing. If it's snowing, having a hoodie up is not unnormal. This is Miami. The winter, it was like high 50s. You don't need the hoodie up, So it's just, yeah.
Or anyway, it's just a recognition that it's more likely. So.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Dude,
hey, dude, this phone is at 1%, so it's gonna die at some point. So,
well, it's been awesome to catch up.
Yeah, dude,
hopefully we can do it again.
Let's do it again because there's more. I wanted to hit some of those other topics. Some of them I can't hit in here. Probably know the one, but I'd love to. I'm actually going to be doing some of that on this tour, so Great. I'll let you know how it goes. I'll keep you posted on it. Yeah, but yeah,
great, awesome. And then, do you mind if I post this to YouTube?
For sure. Of course.
Perfect. All right. Catch you later, man. Good luck on the tour.
Appreciate it. Hey, see you, dude. Thanks.
See ya.